Neville Stevens burst his way down the main straight. Oh, and over we go. Roger Phillips, Bob Asom, and Bob Walsh. He's over too. So 3 cars coming together pretty hard there with Roger Phillips and Bob Walsh taking nasty flips in turn 1, first night out. Well, that was a typical first corner charge by the pack. Neville Stevens racing away to an early lead, but as we saw in the middle of the pack there, 3 of the cars coming together and quite heavily. And I think Gary Winterbottom was pretty lucky to get out of that one as well.
Quite dramatic happenings. The car still sitting sideways across the circuit now, just on the run out of turn 1. Crash crew quickly onto the scene, and there's Roger Phillips climbing out of the race car, obviously a little bit shaken, but walking away from the remainder of what's left of that number 53 car.
Well, I guess we spoke too early when we said that he could make his own wings, Al, but Roger Phillips out of the car. And thank goodness those cars are built the way they are built these days, and Roger's driving one built by C&R Sprintcar chassis, and they can be pretty proud of the way their equipment has stood up under that. That was a pretty wild ride. Roger Phillips took down there in turn 1.
Of course, it's all just reoccurring again for Roger now, as it all comes back to him now, and he just plonks himself down and tries to get himself all together again. It was quite a dumping in that number 53 car, but by G, Stuart, didn't the car come through it well?
Indeed, and there's another one out of his car. Bobby Walsh is out of his car. Let's hear it from Bobby Walsh. He also took a wild one.
And right over on the outfield is Bob Asen, and the number 4 car was also involved in that dumping up there midway between turns 1 and 2, and Bob went right to the outfield and safe and sound over there at the moment, and calling up the recovery units and push trucks to the area now quickly.
Starting away it is Gary Winterbottom, this time first into turn 1 in car number 33. Neville Stevens trying it hard on the outside in the silver car. Vic Savage takes over second in car number 47. Oh, look at Neville Stevens in 46, hammering his way underneath Savage and takes off second position from Savage, pushing him up high. That's the top 3, Gordon Callahan number 4 and Bobby Asom in 5th. Asom and Callahan having their own little battle now as Gary Winterbottom runs away with this one. Stevens can't shake off Big Savage at this stage. With Savage right underneath Neville Stevens as they battle it out down the back straight. Stevens and Savage. Stevens with the more power on the outside still holds down position number 2. Halfway through the event, but still Gary Winterbottom scooting away with it in 33. Savage and Stevens still at it with Savage this time, taking away second position down the main straight. Stevens once again with the power on, goes around the outside. Does he grab it back? Locked together down the main straight, can't separate the two. Stevens and Savage into turn 1 and 2 together. Look at Bobby Asom coming through, bouncing through the turns as he tries to make up lost ground. Savage now takes over second. Keep it on. Bobby Asom in that car number 4. The front wing's not mounted properly there. It's been hit in that accident. It's affecting the handling. Look at it go up on 2 wheels. Bob Asom down the back straight, trying to pull in Neville Stevens. Look out, he's run right into the back of him. Neville Stevens still in third. Oh, taking a look out down there. We've seen John Barker losing it after the rest of the Gary Winterbottom has taken the checkered flag.
Green and racing now. On the outside goes Graham Donny. Rob Rutley locked up tight in position 2 and looks for the lead and accelerates away as they run down the back section for the first occasion. This time past the post, 1 down, 14 left remaining. Race leader Rob Rutley back now to Kev Worthington. Neville Stevens in third, but Blackwell is quickly into stride to take over that third running. Tatnell the next one through. Off on the outfield is Russian at the extreme rear of the field. The race leader, Rutley, again onto the main straightaway and going away at this stage. Hooks up the number 12 car and races out of turn 2. Well clear now from Kev Worthington, who's motoring on in second running. Blackwell attempting to close the gap, further back in third. Heading off from Tatnell. The next one through is Tunks in the 54 car. Back then to Stevens, Vic Savage, Graham Donny and Gary Rush. Rush still at the rear of the field as Rutley leads the high-speed main event feature for sprint cars at the Parramatta Raceway. Takes the number 12 car on the high line. races off the cushion on turn 2 and accelerates down the back section. Blacklaw dives on the inside, running through turn 3 and takes over second running, and again rushes off in the outfield. Gary Rush with a bag full of problems at the moment in the number 2 car, but Rutley's still the leader and coming up to attempt to pass on Gary Rush. Rutley, Blacklaw and Tatnell running 1, 2 and 3. Gary Rush at the extreme rear of the field as Bob Asen leaves the circuit and returns to the pit enclosure. Tatnell now closing the gap on Blacklaw and dives on the inside. Meanwhile, Rutley attempting to race wheel to wheel with Gary Rush, and at this stage is all bar. 1 lap down on the leader. Right behind, and that's Rob Rutley. Tatnell round the outside of Blacklaw and takes over second, running out of turn 2. So the new readout is Rutley, Tatnell and Blacklaw now running 1, 2 and 3 with Tatnell. Moving into the Winfield car to apply the pressure to Rob Rutley as they run up and out of turn 2, heading down the back section. It's wheel to wheel, airfoil, and the new race leader is Tatnell. Tatnell on the inside, running onto the main straightaway. Gary Rush still at the extreme rear as the race leader Tatnell dives on the inside with Rush on the high line, but 1 lap down. Tatnell's still the leader. Blacklaw dives through on the inside of Rutley now to regain second berth in the race. Rutley relegated to third. Kev Worthington still in fourth. Back now to Bob Tunks, and they're the main contenders. Moving past the halfway mark of tonight's Hornsby Mitsubishi Sprintcar main event. Tatnell now well clear by about 1/4 of a lap over Blacklaw in second running. This time the white flag out for George Tatnell with 14 laps completed and less than 1 remaining. Blacklaw in second running, Rutley holding down third, and that's the final pattern with only 1 turn left to negotiate now for George Tatnell in the Winfield car. And the first main event of the season goes to George Tatnell. Second to Bob Blacklaw across the wire, and third will be Rob Rutley in car number 12, followed in by Kev Worthington in car number 49. Then came Bob Tunks in the number 54 car, a long way back now to Graham Donny in car number 50, so opening the account for the season in the Winfield number 5 car, completing the 15-lap main event, George Tatnell. The journey, race number 10, out comes the green and racing at the Hornsby Mitsubishi Sprint Car back markers. On the outside, Graham Oliver looking for the lead from Graham Donny, and Oliver gets there quick to move up. On the inside is Rob Rutley in the number 12 car. Also quick to move is Bob Tunks, and George Tatnell through the pack, takes over fourth running, now goes into third, but around goes Tunks, and is collected by Blacklaw, who climbs up and over the bonnet of the sideways car of number 54, Bob Tunks. Oliver calls the shots and jumps away out of turn 3. Tatnell already on the inside, and they've been shown the green. Oliver the leader, but Tatnell pulls it low on the circuit, makes a diamond pattern out of it and accelerates out of turn 2, running down the back section. Tatnell from Rob Rutley, the next one through. Oliver tailing out the third, out of 4, onto the main straightaway. Bob Blacklaw, the next one through, takes over fourth running in advance of Sid Moore, Graham Donny and Rob Worthington at the extreme rear of the field. Race leader Tatnell through 3, out of 4, onto the main straightaway, and Rob Rutley now moving into opposite hurry up. Blacklaw attempting to close the gap on the race leaders as they get up high on the cushion and accelerate out of turn 2, but already the race leader, George Tatnell, accelerates the number 5 Winfield car onto the main straightaway. 1, 2 and 3, Tatnell, Rutley and Blacklaw calling the shots in this, the sprint car back markers, race number number 10 on the card. 5 down, 5 left remaining. Tatnell unchallenged at the moment as Rutley loses ground and the 12 car running out of turn 2. Blacklaw looking for more power but not making any further impression on the 1 and 2 runners as they head out of turn 4. Back in position 4 in advance of Sid Moore, but Tatnell, the race leader, again accelerating mid-track on turn 4. Up into 1 and 2, still clear of Rob Rutley. Blacklaw slowly closing the gaps, but the laps will beat them at this stage with Tatnell again onto the main straightaway. Arthur Cowan walks across to pick up the white flag and getting set to move trackside once again as Tatnell has it all his own way out of turn 2. Rutley finds the power again, running deep into turn 3 and closes the gap on Tatnell as the white flag comes out. 9 laps completed and less than 1 remaining for George Tatnell, leading the sprint car back markers, the Mitsubishi point score, second round. And again Rutley closes up as they run out of turn 4 with a black and white at the ready, but a race to the wire and very, very close. With Blacklaw, the number 3 car across the wire will wait for the official confirmation, given the black and white to George Tatnell. Race the starter, out comes the green and racing, 20 laps the journey, PCR, action track. Roger Phillips getting hit left, right and centre as they sort themselves out. Tatnell on the inside, Graham Oliver, the early race leader, Rush also diving through the traffic. Quickly looking for the lead. Blacklaw back in position 5, rushes there but up and over. Here's Rob Rutley executing a roll on turn 1. Also involved is Sid Moore in the number 77 car. Yellow lights being brought on after the completion of lap 1. Looking for the start this time around as they stand on the gas and run out of turn 4. Out comes the green and racing once again. Brought to you by Winfield. 5 smokes ahead of the rest. 4 and 5 wide, they go through turn 1. Phillips, the early leader, being swapped now as Johnny Walsh goes to an early lead. Also Graham Oliver in there and George Tatnell on the inside looking to run through and run up with the leaders. And Tatnell wipes the complete front end right out of Rob Worthington's car. Also involved was Sid Moore again and whirls all over the circuit at the moment. The complete front end of Rob Worthington's 98 car torn right out of that race car. George Tatnell comes to a halt involved. Roger Phillips also recklessly involved in car number 53. Gary Winterbottom coming to a halt over on the back section of the circuit. And again, turn number 1 in turmoil.
Well, I've never seen so many bits and pieces flying off cars as there was. That was reminiscent of that Indianapolis race in the mid-60s where wheels and tyres were going everywhere. Incredibly bad luck for those drivers down in turn 1.
Rob Worthington's front end literally exploding all over the circuit. Getting hooked up and involved with George Tatnell and also Roger Phillips. And out comes the green again and racing as Tatnell heads up through turns 1 and 2 and attempting to go away. Blacklaw on the inside, pulls the big San Jose slide on Graham Oliver, but Oliver still sticking to his guns in second. Sid Moore now on the scene, down the main straightaway. Tatnell, Oliver and Blacklaw. Sid Moore in there also. This is where your main contenders will come from as they race out of turn 2 and head down the back section. Tatnell accelerates out of turn 4. And around now goes Graham Oliver on turn 2, but the race continuing on. And again, the amber caution lights flashing with the red warning light as the cars slacken off the pace once again. Graham Oliver executing the drop on turn 2 and recovery units being called into action. The green, Tatnell skips away, Blacklaw and Moore following suit. chasing the high dirt out of turn 2. Big Savage looks for the inside run on Sid Moore, who accelerates off the cushion and holds down third once again. Out of turn 4 onto the lane straight away, no change in the 1, 2 and 3 readout. Accelerating down the back section again into turn 3, and already Tatnell moving onto the down cars of the lane straight away. 10 laps left remaining for George Tatnell. Bob Blacklaw way up high on the loose stuff, has a half loose but gathers it in again in advance of Sid Moore. Neville Stevens is next to come through and take over fourth running. Big Savage relegated to position 5, and the next one through is Kev Worthington. No change, Tatnell, Blacklaw and Moore running 1, 2 and 3. But race cars all over the circuit now. Bob Asen involved, also Graham Oliver and Kev Worthington. Bob Asen with a big up and ender over on turn 2. We don't know yet. 2 cars up and over were Kev Worthington, and the biggest dumping probably was Bob Asen as the officials rush into attempt.
Right, what happened there, Kev Worthington coming off turn 2, spun the car on his own and then was hit by Graham Oliver as Worthington moved up track sideways. Oliver came in, had nowhere to go, took him out, and they both went over the track, and that caused Worthington to go over. But as they were going off, car number 4, Bobby Asen, come to the rate of knots and went right through it, right through the cars there, and just, he must have gone 5 or 6 times. 5 or 6 times he went. Pretty wild one there for Bobby Asen.
And the wave coming through from Mark Freehill over there on turn 2, and obviously Bob Asen is okay. Tatnell skips away. Blacklaw also finds the power in advance of Sid Moore in third running. Neville Stevens finding out what happens when the brake seat up, and hooks right up tight on turn 1, but accelerates down the back section. It's all Tatnell at this stage, being chased by Blacklaw. Sid Moore with a handful of problems at the moment, and the race car all over the circuit as Neville Stevens looks for the inside run, swinging out at turn 2, and just gets there in advance of Moore, but Moore accelerates on the inside and challenges down on turn 3. 5 laps left remaining for George Tatnell. Blacklaw in second and Neville Stevens third. Blacklaw up high, attempting to get the drive off the cushion on turn 2, but at this stage making no further impression on the race leader, George Tatnell. Tatnell fighting hard to keep the number 5 car on the circuit, but still accelerates full power off turn 2, running down the back section. The last remaining laps coming up for Tatnell. Blacklaw in second and Neville Stevens third. Blacklaw in second. No change. 1, 2 and 3. Neville Stevens holding down third. And finally the black and white goes to George Tatnell, taking it to 2 in a row. Second to Blacklaw. And third will be Neville Stevens in car number 46. Followed in by Sid Moore in the 77 car. Next across the wire, Vic Savage in 47. Thence came 33 of Gary Winterbottom, John Walsh in car number 92, Wayne Sampson in car number 51. Laps the journey, all in trouble on the run-up in the main straightaway. Bob Tunks, Graham Donny and also Terry Becker involved. No start. Already the drama unfolding before the show of the green. 3 cars on the infield. Bob Tunks, who ricocheted high into the air in the number 54 car, now on the infield. Graham Donny in car number 50 with the meat and the sandwich, and also involved in the overnighters express freight entry was Terry Becker in the new number 55 car. Should have the start this time round. They run off turn 4, but the starter says no. Out comes the green and racing complete recommencement with Relive taking over the lead. Again, Terry Becker on the inside, roughly locked up tight, and Bob Tunks taking the short way around on the inside. Wheel to wheel. Tatnell's there now, diving through centre field. Rush on the outside, and around goes roughly, collected by Bob Tatnell, and also involved further back in the pack. Who's that further back? Gary Rush. And Bobby Tunks also involved again in car number 54. So Rutley in the 12th car going around. A little difficult to tell. Here we go again, getting set, completely run out, comes the green and racing away 15 maxes. They're hooked up further back, they straighten themselves out. Bob Asen halfway around, but pulls it in tight again. Gary Rush making a dive from the back of the pack in the number 2 car. And around goes Bob Asen now, midway between turns 3 and 4. Slick racing surface at the moment is no place for a new season driver, and Bob Asen found that out to his discontent after looping the number 4 car midway between turns 3 and 4. Starter says no. Run out of turn 4, out comes the green and racing up the day. Makes the lead up into turn 1, on the outside goes Sid Moore, the 97 car. Blackmore dives in low, Rush on the outside in advance of Tatnell as they run off the high bank on turn 2. Blackmore again dives deep but wanders way up track as they run out of turn 4, and the race leader is Sid Moore. In car number 97, Terry Becker in the 55 car. Bob Tunks the next one through in third, runs up wheel to wheel on Becker as they head down into turn 3. Blackmore gets an advance of Rush now, but Tatnell goes on the inside and straightens up Rutley. Rutley goes to the infield. Rob Rutley goes to the infield and stranded on the outfield high and dry, midway between, well, right on turn 4. I think you'll find it's Bob Blackmore. Already running out of turn 4. Out comes the green and racing on the lane. Terry Becker in second running. Bob Tunks dives deep on the inside. Gary Rush takes the run on the highway line. Out of turn 2. Level feet with Terry Becker down the back section. Sid Moore the leader running off turn 4 and onto the main straightaway, and Rush goes into second running. Rush in now, Tatnell dives on the inside of Becker, and Tatnell goes into third running. So it's Sid Moore from Gary Rush and George Tatnell. Back then to Terry Becker, who whips it on 2 wheels out of turn 3. Rush again on the highway, out of turn 2. Runs on the outside of Sid Moore, and Rush goes to the lead. Out of the pocket on 2. Diving down the back section to 3. Kicking off the bank onto the main straightaway, and the race leader is Gary Rush. Gary Rush the leader from George Tatnell, and Sid Moore relegated now back to third. Tatnell in second place. Terry Becker still holding down fourth running. Then comes Bob Tunks, followed up by Bob Blackmore.
Lucky those two didn't crash me.
And again, George Tatnell now coming up to challenge Gary Rush as they run on 2. Off 4 onto the main straightaway. Rush in the 2 car. Again, accelerating out of turn 2. Sid Moore fighting hard to hold down third running at the moment in advance of Bob Tunks as Asen goes to the infield. Rush again, chasing the high line on turn turn 2, accelerates down the back straightaway, attempting to put as much night light as possible between himself and the challenger, George Tatnell in the Winfield car. Racing off 4 onto the main straightaway, 10 laps completed and 5 left remaining for Gary Rush. In advance of Tatnell. Malonga back now to Sid Moore, then comes Bob Tunks in position 4 and Blacklaw holding down 5. Yellow flag out now with Vic Savage in car number 47 on the run out of turn 3. Vic Savage left. Running off 4, out comes the green and racing again onto the main straightaway. 5 laps left remaining for Gary Rush. Oh, and Sid Moore now as tails back to 4th. Comes again on the inside of Bob Tunks as they make the run down the back section, locked in tight. Blacklaw now goes to the outside, almost off the circuit, calls in again. And Blacklaw loses several placings. Sid Moore's car now apparently boiling and throwing water onto the circuit as they make the run out of turn 2, so the track becoming doubly treacherous at this stage. Laps dwindling away for the race leader, Gary Rush. Tatnell and Tunks running 1, 2 and 3. Race leader onto the main straightaway with a white flag out for us, signifying 14 racing laps completed and less than 1 remaining. Rush comes the number 2 car down the back section, heading to his first win of the season at the Parramatta City Raceway. Champion sprint car driver of Australia, Gary Rush. First to the black and white. Second will be George Tatnell in car number 5. Fast finishing, Bob Tunks will be 3rd. Sid Moore in 4th running. 55, Terry Beggar next across the wire, and a hard-charging Bob Blacklaw, who was in all sorts of problems. Out of turn 4, out comes the green racing. Bob Worthington is first to see turn 1, locking up tight. Is Terry Beggar making the run through the pack now is Sid Moore. 4 drives on the inside, and Blacklaw there also running wheel to wheel. 9 laps of the journey this time onto the main straightaway. Blacklaw on the inside of Becker as they hightail it through turn 1. Backing it into the turns and Rush looking for the way through. Fraser on the outside. Running wheel to wheel is Rush and Fraser. So around goes Rob Rutley and they all get through on the inside but going to the outfield. Trying to pick up the car on the outfield. I think you'll find it Bobby Tunks in car number 54. Moving into turn 3 at 1 million mile an hour was the complete build of the sprint car back markers, and Rob Rutley, I believe it was, who overcooked it in the turn and was left high and dry, spread eagle across that turn 3 this time around. Data says yes and sends them on the 8-lap remainder. Sid Moore kicks away into turn 1. Blacklaw tucks in low. Rob Rutley's there also. Tatnell still back in the pack as Gary Rush comes through to take over 4. In advance of Bobby Tunks, Worthington goes back to the pits and Fraser at the rear. 1, 2 and 3, Moore, Blacklaw and Rutley. Sprint car action, there's only PCR can deliver the goods. Heading out of turn 4, running the grade. Gary Rush with problems with the number 2 car. Back on the infield is Fraser also, returns to the pit enclosure and Sid Moore, skipping further and further away with the lead. Blacklaw attempting to haul him into the number 1 car. 5 laps left remaining. 5 down, 5 left remaining for Sid Moore, back to into turn 1. Blacklaw off on the cushion, kicks the number 1 car. Away out of turn 2, in advance now with Rutley, and they move real clear of Tatnell in the Winfield car. Rutley up on 2 wheels out of turn 4. The 1, 2 and 3 unchanged. turn 4, ball kicks away, Blackwell there, Rutley gets by on the inside. As the green comes out, Blackwell dives again on the inside of Rutley, who comes it out of turn 2 on half track, heading down the back section, Moore still the leader. Rutley locked up tight in second and making a race of it on the inside, and Blackwell hugging the wheel, backing it into the turns, and Rutley shooting for the lead. Bob Rutley shooting for the lead as they run out of turn 2. Sid Moore shuts the gate, running down the back section. Rutley looking for the high line this time. Blackwell still back in third, onto the main straightaway. 1, 2 and 3, Moore, Rutley and Blackwell. Rutley again, kicked high on the bank, runs down deep, out of 2, down the back section. This time it's Blackwell on the inside. Blackwell guts the Hornsby diesel injection Chevy, back into second running, white flag out. Rutley relegated to third, hikes the wheel, but it's all Sid Moore in the 95 car. Dropping it low on turn 4. Lifting it right up as the black and white comes down, and Moore will win. Sid Moore first, Blackwell devastating second, and third to the wire. In it all the way in car number 12 was Rob Rutley. Followed in by the fast-running fourth to the wire was Bob Tunks in car number 54, and the final car to finish the sprint car back markers in the overnighters Chevy car number 55 was Terry Becker. But what a win, put your hands together, and what a drive to Sid Moore.
Nice drive, Sid Moore taking the lead in the first lap and never looked like really losing it. Only in the late there did Bob Rutley sneak underneath him, but he couldn't get it. So nice drive, nice win. Sid Moore in car number 95. Second, after dropping back to third, was Bobby Blackwell in car number 1. And third to Rutley, who did a fine job in the West End Wines car, coming home third in car number 12. 95, 1 and 12.